What if events went differently? What if Thanos succeeded in Avengers Endgame by snapping twice, dusting all of the Avengers? How would the timeline look like if Thanos was able to get the gauntlet and snap? We will be exploring the final act of Avengers Endgame and diving deep into Thanos' path of victory. Without wasting any more time, let's get right into the fan fiction. Our timeline has started off the same, with the Avengers from 2023 traveling back to the future, gaining all of the Infinity Stones. The events were playing out the same, with Tony creating the gauntlet to Hulk to acquire, putting it on to snap. During this time, Thanos has gained knowledge about how the Avengers were trying to fix something that he did in the future. With the future Nebula captured and his plans were set in motion, the evil 2014 Nebula has returned, taking her counterpart's place. She will play a key role in the defeat of the Avengers in this brand new branched reality. Like the original universe, the gateway was opened and the Sanctuary 2 was unleashed, bringing Thanos and his Black Order to 2023. The ship obliterated the Avengers compound, almost turning it into ash. With the Avengers trapped below, Thanos was ready to give the final strike and gain ultimate power by completing his plan at rebuilding a universe in his own vision. Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man, like the original timeline, looked at Thanos, who was just sitting on the battlefield staring in the distance. He knew with all of those stones he would complete his goals and finish what his alternate counterpart could not. The heroes trapped below broke free as Ant-Man, Hulk, War Machine, and Rocket Raccoon helped each other to get out of the burning rubble, only this time something would change. Clint, who had the gauntlet in the original timeline, still got it by finding it in the destroyed rubble. Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man engaged in a tight battle with Thanos like the original timeline, only this time something would change. Thanos would play it more cautious as he was going up against 3 of the strongest Avengers. Knowing this, he had used the Avengers' powers against one another. Steve Rogers threw his shield at Thanos, and Thanos nearly missed the attack and used his sword to deflect it. The shield swerved back at Steve, who was hit in the chest hard. Cap fell back as Thor charged towards Thanos. Thor screamed, throwing his axe at Thanos, and Thanos missed the attack, and Iron Man summoned a nano blade through his hand, coming in from the other side. Thanos threw Thor towards the blade, and Thanos laughed manically as Thor screamed in pain, dropping to the ground. Tony was shocked to see that he struck Thor in the gut with his nano blade. Thanos grabbed his sword and was ready to kill Tony, but Steve summoned Thor's hammer just in the nick of time, like the original universe. Tony held Thor and asked if he was going to be okay. Thor told Iron Man to continue fighting. Tony engaged, charging Thanos. Iron Man used all of his rocket boots to hit Thanos, but this time Thor's hammer hit Iron Man, who fell to the ground stunned. The Mad Titan took the opportunity by throwing his sword towards Captain America. The sword hit the shield, breaking through it. With Thor and Iron Man down, it was only up to Steve to fight Thanos. Thanos ran towards Captain America, pushing him to the ground. His shield rolled over and Steve was crawling towards it, trying to get it. Thanos slammed his foot down on the shield. As Steve was trying to reach for it, Thanos crushed his hand. Steve screamed in pain, yelling for help, causing Thor to summon Stormbreaker, but Thanos grabbed it in the nick of time, turning around and cutting off Captain America's arm. He was screaming in intense pain. Thor flew towards Thanos but was hit in the gut by Stormbreaker. Thor was dying, and Thanos smiled, pushing the sword into his chest further. Iron Man and Captain America watched in horror as they saw Thor drop to the ground. He was still alive, but not moving. Cap passed out from the immense pain, and Thanos walked towards Iron Man, who was the only one standing. The Mad Titan's army were swarming into the battlefield, but it was too late. Thanos told Tony that it was never personal, but he said that he was happy to know that he was given the gift to right the wrongs with the Infinity Stones. He was happy that they collected it for him, and he would turn the universe into his own. Iron Man slowly raised his arm, but telling Thanos that he would never win, and fired a repulsor ray, but it was deflected and bounced off of Thanos' sword, hitting Tony in the shoulder. Tony fell back with the rest of the Avengers as they were defeated. Below, Thanos' Outriders were attacking the other members of the Avengers. Hawkeye ran into a broken hallway underground, but was cornered. They were coming from each side until Nebula from the left side of the hallway started killing all of the Outriders by stabbing them in the face one by one. Clint was shocked and tried to communicate with the Avengers, but there was no signal. Clint took a breath, falling on his one knee. He looked up at Nebula out of breath, asking for her to take the gauntlet from him. Clint was about to say another word until Nebula smiled and shot him dead. Clint's body fell into the water as Nebula took the gauntlet off of his body and turned around, hearing an echo from the other side of the hallway. It was the future 2023 Nebula and Gamora. Gamora screamed at Nebula, asking her what did she do. The 2014 Nebula smiled, explaining that their father's grand plan was to be finished and that she was just playing her part in everything. The future Nebula looked down to see that it was Clint who she killed, and she put her head down, screaming at herself, but was shot 2 times in the chest. Gamora watched in horror as her future sister fell to the ground, dead. Without hesitation, Gamora did a 360 kick that stunned her sister. Knowing that she couldn't be redeemed, Gamora knew that she had to finish the job and kill her. Gamora took her knife out, stabbing it into Nebula's gut over and over again. Gamora was terrified at what transpired, but after everything, this is what needed to be done. Gamora looked at both of her sisters' lifeless bodies screaming in the air. She couldn't believe that she went that far with it, but it was too late. Gamora picked up the Infinity Gauntlet, but she didn't know what to do with it or who was on her side. The rest of the heroes, like Ant-Man, Hulk, and War Machine, located Gamora running from the Outriders. She slid down the debris, cutting them all up in front of the Avengers. War Machine raised his repulsor rays up, telling the girl to give up the gauntlet or that she would be killed. Not knowing who she was, War Machine shot his repulsor, but Gamora dodged the blast, doing a wall run, kicking War Machine in the face while front flipping over the Hulk and Rocket Raccoon. Rocket was shocked and kept calling her name, but what he didn't know is that this wasn't his Gamora that he knew. Rocket started telling facts about Gamora and the Gamora that he used to know, and she stood still listening to what the raccoon had to say. She told him that she didn't really trust them, but for now, they would have a common enemy, and that was to be her father. War Machine yelled at her, demanding for her to give up the gauntlet, but Hulk thought that she was faster than any of these creatures, and if she can outrun them, then Thanos and his armies wouldn't stand a chance at getting the gauntlet. They all agreed, and Hulk started breaking out of the debris while Ant-Man was getting ready to turn huge. Iron Man's armor was slowly failing him. He was taking a lot of damage from Thanos, but he knew that this couldn't be it. After everything they've been through, Tony crawled with each lasting will to make it to his feet, while Thanos was slowly walking towards Iron Man, getting closer with each passing second. The other heroes that broke free from the compound looked within the distance, seeing Iron Man crawling from Thanos. War Machine and Hulk stood still in disbelief as Thanos was getting closer to Iron Man. The Mad Titan put his sword in the air as Tony was about to get away. Thanos looked on his left in confusion to see a portal opening in front of him. He was confused and was about to finish the job until heroes came out of the portal. Thanos grinned and launched his sword right into Tony until a web caught his sword in the nick of time, taking it away as Star-Lord used his rocket boots to kick Thanos in the face, while Doctor Strange summoned a blocking spell to cover Tony. Heroes started ganging up on Thanos while the other Avengers from the compound started running in. The Black Order were summoned and invaded. Tony ran to Cap and Thor, who were defeated on the battlefield, and Cap lost his arm while Thor was stabbed in the gut. They were still alive, but they told Iron Man they couldn't fight anymore and that's all they had left. Cap gave Iron Man his shield, telling him to use it wisely, while Thor told Iron Man to extend his hand out in the air. Tony was shocked, but he did it. He could see the battle from afar, watching on as Captain Marvel and the other heroes were entering the battlefield. Thor's hammer flew into Iron Man's hand, and Tony was shocked to see that he was worthy of Thor's hammer. He looked at his left hand Man having the Captain America shield, and he charged towards Thanos. The ship started raining fire on Wanda, Spider-Man, and all of the other heroes until a massive bolt of lightning struck Thanos in the chest. Tony Stark asked Thanos if he was ready for round 2. Tony threw the shield at Thanos' face, using the hammer in the air while using a repulsor blast at the same time. The Mad Titan was angered by this and started swinging wildly on the battlefield, but Tony dodged all of the attacks. Gamora was running on the battlefield, dodging the attacks from Thanos' ship, but a massive blast hit the ground. Gamora was taken off of her feet and fell on her back. Corvus Glaive saw the gauntlet while Gamora was crawling for it. He stabbed her through the chest with his staff, telling her that she would die as a traitor. Star-Lord was fighting with the other Black Order members until he saw Gamora executed from afar. Star-Lord screamed, shooting Ebony Maw in the head, killing him. Star-Lord used his rocket boots, running to the situation, but she was already dead. Star-Lord screamed and saw the gauntlet on the ground. He was crying in shock, knowing what he needed to do. Star-Lord picked up the gauntlet, and nanotech crawled up his hand, giving him the ultimate power in the universe. Spider-Man was on the other side of the battlefield, dealing with Outriders, and Black Panther was back-to-back with Spider-Man. They were being outnumbered, but they saw Star-Lord in the distance, putting the gauntlet on. Black Panther yelled for Star-Lord to look out, but it was already too late. Proxima Midnight cut off Star-Lord's hand, kicking him to the ground. She smiled, putting her foot on his chest, executing him. The Black Order rained fire while the other heroes were slowly being outmatched. Tony saw Proxima Midnight picking up the gauntlet, and she bowed before Thanos. The heroes were charging in. Iron Man used Thor's hammer to propel himself towards them, but Thanos saw what was coming and threw his sword towards Tony. The sword hit Tony in the chest as his chest blew up. The explosion caused a massive shockwave, pushing back Tony. All Tony could see was a blurry image of Captain Marvel and Thanos fighting for control of the gauntlet, but his suit was getting damaged. Thanos, like the original timeline, punched Captain Marvel with the Power Stone, knocking her out. The Mad Titan put the gauntlet on, walking towards Iron Man. Thanos picked up Tony, and with one last-ditch effort, Tony summoned a blade trying to stab it into the Mad Titan's chest, but Thanos broke it and grabbed a hold of Iron Man's neck. He crushed Tony and threw his body on the ground. Iron Man extended his hand out, but Thanos cut it completely off and stabbed Tony in the chest, killing him instantly. The Avengers were shocked. Spider-Man screamed, but Thanos used a massive Power Stone blast on the rest of the Avengers. Thanos smiled, saying that he was inevitable, and he snapped his fingers, watching as the heroes were being snapped away. Thor and Captain America looked at one another, and Cap told Thor that he was happy to fight alongside him with all of those years before dusting away. Thanos watched, seeing the heroes fading away, and the rest of the Black Order bowed to Thanos. The Mad Titan told them that he was going to snap again, creating a new universe for himself, and that he was happy to fight alongside them. Thanos used the stones, and he was about to snap again. He was shocked to see an orange portal opening in front of Thanos. Thanos was confused, and so were the Black Order. A lady came out of the portal telling Thanos that he was under arrest for the violation of the sacred timeline, and that he would be going to prison for his crimes. Men started coming out of the portals and started setting reset charges around the battlefield. The Black Order swarmed the TVA agents, but they used their tasers to kill them one by one. With one touch, they were dead. Thanos tried using the gauntlet, but TVA agents came from behind him and punched Thanos in the face, keeping him in a slow motion position. They confiscated the gauntlet and put a shock collar on his neck. Thanos dropped to the ground in pain. He was ready to snap again, but he saw that the gauntlet was off of him. The Mad Titan screamed and was ready to fight. He charged the TVA agents, but they resetted him. Thanos fell to the ground. They grabbed Thanos, restraining him, and he walked through the portal, seeing people in suits walking all over the place. They pushed Thanos and told him he was going to court, so they should get ready. Not knowing what to do, Thanos tried using all of his effort to attack the TVA members, but it was no use. They shoved him into a chamber. The Mad Titan was shocked to see a massive robot in the middle of the room. The robot lasered his armor, and Thanos fell on the ground in a chair. A man asked to confirm if all of these documents is what Thanos had said. He didn't know what to think, but Thanos took a pen and wrote his name on it. TVA members grabbed Thanos and shoved him into another room. He was shocked to see someone that looked just like him being confronted by the TVA members. TVA members yelled at this alternate Thanos and that Thanos was responsible for the death of Tony Stark. Thanos smiled and said yes, and the TVA members grabbed their tasers and executed Thanos in front of him. This other Thanos that was just brought there couldn't believe that he saw another version of himself from Titan be killed. A man told Thanos to take a ticket, which he did. They shoved him before the court, and the Mad Titan watched the TVA commercial about the timelines and how there was only one sacred timeline. He was confused and asked what was going on, and he asked if they all wanted to die. Thanos started getting mad and yelled, asking if they knew who he was, but the TVA members that were there at the court told Thanos that if he was going to plead guilty or not for the crimes he committed. Thanos wanted to know what crimes he committed, and they told him that how he killed the Avengers and that the timeline isn't supposed to go that way. Thanos explained that he was only doing what he thought was right, but he was rudely interrupted. They yelled if he was guilty, and Thanos smiled, saying that he was and that he will keep killing them again and again. The lady at the court told Thanos that he was going to be executed until a man walked towards the court and told the lady not to kill this Thanos. It was none other than Mobius himself. And that is going to be what if Thanos won in Avengers Endgame, and what if Thanos had snapped away the heroes at the end of the film. I believe this is what would have happened, and I think the TVA would have confiscated Thanos' gauntlet, and maybe they would have put it in that drawer. But what do you guys think about this fan fiction? If you guys did enjoy this fan fiction and want to request some of your own, do let me know in the comments down below. But if you guys did enjoy this video, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn your notifications on so you and your friends are all up to date with the latest content. But anyways, as always, guys, thanks for tuning in and have an amazing day.